Hello, everybody, and welcome to Professor P's podcast. I'm Natasha Palumbo, aka Professor P. I'm known for evoking the essence of spirituality by bringing the energetic fire, activating the mind, and speaking the truth. I'm so honored that you are here with us today. I thank you for joining. This podcast is focused on entrepreneurship, empowerment, and energetics. You're going to find a wealth of information inside, guest speakers, and the elixir, a dose of energetic power. So let us join in on today's podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Professor P's podcast. I'm always so excited for you to be joining me, especially today, everyone. I'm super excited. I'm bringing us a guest speaker. I'm going to get to her in just a minute, but because you know I got to give you all your love. Thank you so much for your voice notes, your messages, your comments. I love it that you're getting so much out of each and every episode. If you haven't been able to check them all out, you can go and veg out on them. They're so easy to veg out. But I do love each and every one of you so much. I'm so grateful. As I mentioned in my last podcast, I am getting ready to close the season up. This is actually going to close my season. I'm going to take time off, get myself moved to San Diego. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I will launch the podcast once again for a new season. So you want to stay tuned. But today I am truly, truly honored to have my guest speaker, Prashante Bailey Lewis is a seasoned professional with more than 17 years of experience in natural hair care, specialist product formulation, herbal wellness, cannabis products, and alternative health education. As a business consultant, she provides services to small businesses owned by Black and Brown entrepreneurs, focusing on truth, harmony, sustainability. She has successfully worked as an educator and facilitator for healthy hair care as a licensed cosmetologist, as well as a program organizer and counselor for small business development organization. She aims to empower underrepresented communities by enhancing brand, business plan loan readiness, consumer experience, and financial awareness in business opportunities for long-term sustainability and equity. She is also one of my stars who I love dearly. Prashante, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome in.
Thank you. That was such an introduction. I feel so good. Thank you.
Hey. So tell my listeners a little bit about you. Tell them your story. Tell them a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my name is Prashante Bailey Lewis. I have been an entrepreneur for over 17 years, or a little bit longer than that, like 20 years, because I
Wow.
started when I was a teenager for real. Just was doing, things here and there in the neighborhood with my family and friends, but they were all paying me, and I started my business at that point. So I'm gonna
Okay.
have to count it back to about, 13, 14. But yeah,
Mm.
it was the journey, honestly, just wanting to put my art, my craft out there that led me to being an entrepreneur. I also had a daughter young. I had my first child when I was 15 years old. So I was a um, teen mom, and I just was in a position where I felt like I needed to actually start making money to support, myself. I felt this responsibility that as a mother, you got to do these things. So I started working at a really young age, but also prior to that, I just loved hair. My father, he had locks growing up my whole life. He had very extravagant hairstyles, from the Jerry curl to the fades to everything. I never seen him in a press and curl, but I've seen pictures of him with one. So he was very into hair care, and just my mom had beautiful hair, and she would always go get her hair done every weekend, or every other weekend, and it just was like a ritual I seen in my family, just grooming and taking care of yourself. And my mom was very big on like natural products and healthy styles. I didn't have extension braids as a young child. Once I was able to, only my cousin could do it. Like, she was very like particular about me just loving myself, my afro,
Wow.
my hair, who I am. My father grew up, in the Black Panther era, and the 1980s. He was very big on just, loving yourself, being a strong Black woman. He talked about that with me all the time. My mother as well, just hard worker, but also amazing mother. She was just so kind, and she still is. But as a child, I just remember thinking like, if they're this happy as people, like I want to feel that same
Mhm.
confidence. So I started going more into natural hair care, looking at products that were herbal based or, organic or just used that were not so chemically altered that it just sometimes caused damage to our hair. So I started the background with my family, my culture, and just doing hair throughout that timeline to make money, because I was a young mom. And I got into, wanting to do cosmetology school after I had already got accepted to some colleges straight out of high school, even as a young mother.
Mm.
Um, because I was still on that journey. I was like, ain't nothing stopping me. I went straight back to
Right.
school, had my baby, kept it moving. And in between there, I worked. I always had a hustle. I always did hair on the side. It was something that was sustainable for me. But as it became more of like, wow, this could be something I could really do. I had talked to some family members because I have a few cosmetologists in my family, and entrepreneurship, I think, also was in my family at some degree. I
Mm.
didn't see it like all the time, but I saw it enough to know that I could do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I wasn't afraid. And I just journeyed into cosmetology school, coming from Vallejo. I went to cosmetology school in Sacramento and essentially graduated and started like immediately working at a salon. I went from assistant to senior designer to master designer in a matter of about 4.5 years. And those levels gave me a lot of confidence to be able to open my own salon and walk away from that first opportunity that led me to just my building my expertise, building my time, going to cosmetology school and then working in a salon. They're very far in between milestones that you have to try to get through to see yourself become a business owner. And it took some years, but it was beautiful because I needed that to really help me grow to be a better business owner and understand the responsibility and dedication that was needed.
I love
So
that.
yeah,
I love
that's
that
my
so much.
start.
That's
Hmm.
how you started, and you're still in there, but you have grown as an mompreneur, right? A
Yeah,
mompreneur.
as a mompreneur, yeah.
Not only from children, from one child to multiple children now, right?
Yes,
We're up to how
yes.
many children now?
I have three. So
Woo!
I have, yeah. So I started over. My husband and I, we got married in 2020 and we started over. We have a 2.5-year-old and a 3-month old. So I'm still in my postpartum right now, but I'm
That's
feeling
right.
good.
But you're feeling good and looking good, by the way, too.
Thank
So
you.
you
Thank
have
you.
three total children. Let's see.
Yes.
Now, my children, they're 15 years apart. So how many
Hmm.
between your daughter and your son?
14 for my son and my
Oh,
daughter,
okay.
and then 16 for my daughter and her. So they'll
Okay.
be
Yeah.
very wide. She's the age I was when I had her. Like it's very,
That's wild.
yeah, it's so wild when you see it and it's like, oh my goodness, thinking back, like how was I able to do that? So the
This,
support, faith in God, like it was just a lot of moving parts. But like when I think back, like sometimes you got to be pushed against the wall to actually
yeah.
shine. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
gem that you just dropped. When did you start realizing, hey, like I like consulting with people? I mean, you're kind of already doing a little consulting behind the chair, but how did it
Yeah.
go from being behind the chair, educating people to then working with small businesses and learning to, kind of educating them and, in your industry? Because you also do people outside of your industry. It's not
Yeah.
just hair care. You now have mentored and been a consultant and a developer and organizer
Hmm.
for other. Like, how did that kind of where did you see that start to bubble up?
Yeah, so I mean, it did start in my foundation with hair. I was very big on consulting through helping our client or my clients at the time get to a healthy hair care regimen and develop a journey along that line, creating milestones, visions, values for what your hair, want it to be, what you believed in, and really diving deep into consulting for natural hair care. And it separated me from the other stylists. And so people would refer individuals out to me just based on my consultations because they're like no one's ever broken down specifics about my hair and how to care for my hair and that these things are okay, these things are not okay, here's how we can work it in. There wasn't no pressure, it was just consult. And so that was a part of my compassion in wanting to do business consulting. It's just that I knew I had an eager urge to just help. Like I just was like, I just want to help. I know some things, I want to provide some information. And during the pandemic, that really shifted my direction into business consulting because I had already taken classes in college for business, introduction, business one-on-one, facilitation, speech. Like I was doing all these different classes to make sure that I would be prepared to speak well and present and facilitate and work in groups and organize, programs if I needed to. But it was more so just as like a backup. Like I just wanted to have that as, accreditation for me being an owner. The consulting portion came in when I had some friends who needed some assistance with applying for the PPP loans. And I was like, I can't apply for you, but I can break down like what it is that they're asking for, like the specifics. And they were like, oh man, you're so good. You just really helped me identify like what it is that I needed. I didn't even know what they were saying. And, it's just the learning aspect for me and understanding is like and so important in my life. So I'll be the person to dive a little bit deeper just to identify what those pain points are and how I can have a solution around it if there is one. And so that's what got me into business consulting is that the pandemic shifted. A stylist, I had to close my salon. I was okay with that. I was happy with having a transition in my career choice. But I needed the technique, the tools, the classes. I started taking classes online. I took one of your classes, one of your
Yeah.
courses, which was amazing. And that part of my journey really kicked off when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for real.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had the experience as far as being a business owner, but I hadn't felt as confident at the time about the logistics and some of the background
Yeah.
education you needed to be a business consultant. So I just kind of dug deeper, continued to educate myself, took on some clients, really honed in on the tools that I could provide and the resources I was good at. And I got into business consulting that way. And found I was really good in that too. Like, it was just it's a different tool used for the same mechanics. Like it was definitely, it was not
Yes.
that different, but it was a little bit more like, okay, I have to know this information just as well as I know how to, prep someone's hair care process.
Yeah, I love that too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, another gem. Yep. And I remember, right, you so eagerly got into my classes, took
Mm-hmm.
my 4 part, you took my generator, we
Yeah.
consulted, I coached you. I told you, I said, you're gonna step into my place when I leave the business center. You're gonna step in. That's just what's gonna happen. I'm gonna push for you to get in there so you can get yourself some more practice it, but you already do this. I was telling, this was already part of your makeup, and you
Yeah.
just acknowledged that it was already within you. And I try to teach my entrepreneurs and my students, and our giftings and talents are within us, and it's so important that we learn to not bury them. And I said
Right.
this last week actually about a to-do list and the power of a to-do list, and really I used it to transition from a job, really is what I did
Right.
from the state into being
Uh-huh.
a professor. I told
Absolutely.
God I had to go, give me a list. What do I need to finish? Its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I also clung on to a vision. And I think many times people, just like they bury their talents, they bury their vision so deep because they think it's not ever going to come to pass. And we can't do that. We have to live every
Mm-hmm.
day in the vision and the fulfillment and go after it because we really can have it because it's part of our makeup. It's part of our design.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, it's
that's
a part of
always
our
been a part of
design.
your design. So
Yeah.
when did you, okay, now you are a Mongol. What is the word?
A Mongol?
What is it? What is that business
Is it
word?
the is it like a mom
No, it's
mom
like a person who has all these businesses, not a serial entrepreneur, but a business. I'm gonna find the
a
word.
business mogul?
Mogul, Mongol. Oh my gosh.
Um
I'm gonna have to find the word.
Oh
But
man, yeah, that
and
definition in that
because
title.
you have so much.
Yeah, so I have my hair care business, and then I also formulate products for a manufacturing business in the cannabis industry that my husband and I own called PurSpace Herbal Care. We're a licensed manufacturer now, so that's been a long journey, honestly. That was something that pushed my
Yeah.
patience as an entrepreneur, but it was something I'm like, I'm sticking with it. This is what I tell my clients. I'm gonna, live by what I preach. But yeah, I have that business, and I started that business based off of just a passion for organic wellness in the cannabis space and anybody that uses it for any pain elements. any reoccurring issues that they feel they may have that help with utilizing topicals and ingestible products that were smokeless, because we wanted to try to promote a healthier alternative to consuming. And so we're manufacturing products like tinctures and topicals, suppositories that really are wellness based. So we incorporate a lot of herbs, and we also encourage people to have education. So we have a merchandise line that sells dosage journals that also are helpful for reflection and jotting down your dosage and your strain use. We also help people to kind of identify in that document just different dosage amounts that you should be taking based on the elements of pain or any issues that you feel you may be having. And that honestly is like my baby that I see going very far, and I'm sticking with it because there's always a way to promote better health and wellness. And so rather it's me doing hair in that space or me providing a healthy mindset or motivated entrepreneurs, who are an entrepreneur to be encouraged but have the tools. It's the same with providing wellness products that are, getting to a place where the stigma is starting to break a little. And we want to give people that are kind of curious, people who haven't done it before, but just want to know what it's about, options to lowly dose themselves and take it slow and apply products, as a lifestyle. So yeah, that's one of the other businesses that we have. And just my consulting, I do that. If you need assistance there, I got the program set up for that. And, it's honestly being able to have done all of these things separately and then in part putting them in places in my life to schedule out the things that I do. And I do not do it all alone. I do have a team of people that help me. Delegation is powerful as an entrepreneur. And when you
Yes,
can identify
amen.
that, yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. I
yeah.
love to delegate. I
That part,
love to, we
yeah.
gotta do
That's
right.
where my seat is. I feel I just come up with the ideas, but then please,
I
go
love to go.
execute that
I
with
ain't got
me.
no problem delegating for sure.
Right.
I'll be like, you got it? You good? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people miss out on the power of delegation because they're too worried about people. They're not going to do it like you. Well, they're not
Right.
supposed to all the way. Like teach them though. Spend time teaching people, but then
Yeah.
let them be. Let you hire them for their genius. I hire people for their zone of genius, right?
That part. Yeah.
I go ahead. Let's
Oh
see
yeah.
that genius. I'm here to give you free reign to let that genius out. I love
Yeah, the
it. You
amount of time you
can't do
spend doing it yourself, you could be saving that reserved energy for your mental health,
it.
your physical health. It's rather that's spending time with your family
Yeah.
or just being able to work out or walk outside and enjoy the space before the sun goes out, just
Yeah.
those are things that I believe entrepreneurship has to include, so it takes time to develop that trust, but once you do find someone that's an expert in their field that you can rely on, that you feel trustworthy of, as well as do a consultation with them. Don't just go in and say, oh, I saw you online, I want to talk with you. Make sure that that relationship aligns and their values align with what your business mission and goal is, and that everything connected
Yeah.
feels right to you. It's not
Because you
just a
can't do it on
on
your
paper
own.
thing. Mm-hmm.
You can't do it all on your own, and you're not supposed to. Even as a solo entrepreneur,
Right.
you're gonna have a team of some sort help you, right? And
Right.
even if you've got vendors or you've got, part-time, maybe virtual assistants, even are
Mm-hmm.
a godsend too to help. So I love that you mentioned that part because you guys, everybody, she also has three children and is 3 months out from just having her last baby. So this
I was doing stuff during my pregnancy and immediately after. So
this is why I was like,
yeah.
I always tell people nobody has excuses. This woman came to my classes, gave birth, and came back to class. Like I did
Mm-hmm.
not miss a beat. I have one of my other stars. She did the same thing. Literally in the middle of it was a 4 part. She had the baby. She's now with the baby in the class with the baby. I was like, you cannot stop these women. You cannot stop them. So you
Yeah.
kind of mentioned a little bit the vision. So tell me what the vision is. Tell us all what the vision is. Where are you going? Where do you see all of this going? Tell
Mm-hmm.
us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my future goals for myself in the business is that we'll be able to open up a manufacturing facility, and that way I can produce both natural hair care products for the industry and hair care, as well as manufacture products with my cannabis license still, and private label those for people that are interested in branding and having a wellness based brand to put on the market. And aside from that, I'm going to also be a consultant in both of those ranges. So now when you come to us for business, you'll be able to get your products manufactured, but I also have, a certification in compliance. So that way you can also come to us for compliance when it comes to the cannabis industry. When it comes to product development in general, the cannabis industry for manufacturing is one of the most strictest like processes. So knowing that and then just being able to do it on an unregulated side, it's just it's very similar. It's parallel. So I want to be able to consult. I also want to be able to develop products under formulations that I find are useful. I do want to hire individuals to do that as well. So providing employment and opportunities within our business is so big for me. My
Absolutely.
goal is to at least
Oh,
employ about 12 people within the next 2 years. So
yes.
that's a goal for myself. And I also want to market education on cannabis wellness products, herbal wellness, healthy lifestyle mindset, business entrepreneurship, business planning, financial development. Those are things that I find really passionate about. And aside from that, maybe a book, something that I can work on as far
Okay.
as like a workshop development. Yeah, yeah. I want to really help the cosmetologists and barbers and estheticians and people in the artist side of business get compliant, but also understand why that's important and how to incorporate the type of assistance you may need or just the planning schedule to try to make it happen, because it's definitely doable, but some things you need help, and we sometimes need somebody to tell us that, and then it's like, oh, it makes sense why you suggested that. And so I want to be there as a consultant to help individuals with that and just be a great mom. Honestly, I want my schedule 4 days a week. That's that's the goal for me one day. And to establish that foundation with my kids that show them, legacy and entrepreneurship and development so that they can feel confident to do their own thing when they grow up, because the economy grows from entrepreneurship and small businesses developing. And so we
Yes.
want to teach that in my family to my children and encourage them to do so. So those are some
I,
goals for me.
I love it so much. And you know what came to mind when you were saying that, especially when you said the book. But what I already know just from having worked with other clients who did natural hair care and this being a huge part of my community, anyways, is
Mm-hmm.
that there's actually, to do natural hair care, you have to get the cosmetology, but it's all white hair. I say that,
Yeah.
right? So you don't actually work with natural hair. That's
Mm-hmm.
not even really part of it, truth
Yeah.
be told. If we are being very honest with all of you listeners, like you learned natural hair in the kitchen. You learned
Yeah.
natural hair in, your bedroom and,
Mm-hmm.
in the mirror, or, your auntie and your grandma, your mom, like you talked about your dad. That's where you learn natural
Yeah.
hair. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to do better at offering education when it comes to natural hair care. And I can see you doing that with the book as a teaching platform in the classes. And so when you started speaking, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's a whole like university institution,
Mm-hmm.
educational institution that people could come to, because Black hair is lucrative. That is
Yeah.
a lucrative market. And
Mm-hmm.
natural hair care is amazing. Dawn Myers, she is a newly entrepreneur. Well, she's a new startup, a tech startup, and she has this particular type of technique brush. My daughter has that C3 hair, the tight
Mm-hmm.
curls, and she's got this brush that goes through and loosens them. And we ordered it, but she just got sharks. Two sharks picked her up on Shark
Wow.
Tank. Yes, and she's been on the journey for a while now, and even battled some health things. But her story is outstanding. And
Mm-hmm.
I love to see that power and that rise in Black women and people of color. And again, that's my community and who I serve as well. And I
Yes.
think there's so much there that we need more education in for those who are still yet forthcoming and are going to rise up
Mm-hmm.
in the industry. And
Yeah.
I can see you playing a big role in there. I found it. I found it, and I have to tell you what it is that I found, because I'm
What?
keeping this in. I'm not even going to edit the part out. It is a mogul, Mogul, a
Mobile. Okay.
business mogul. Have you ever heard
Okay.
that term?
No,
Is
I have.
this is
Mm-hmm.
but this is you now. I'm labeling you this.
I've
A
never heard that. I love
wealthy,
it. Yeah.
listen, a mogul, a business mogul is a wealthy and influential.
Hmm.
person who is associated with a specific business or industry sector. They are CEOs and entrepreneurs who are successful and use their influence to impact business and
Oh, okay.
even politics,
Yes.
and they contribute to philanthropy. If that is,
Yeah.
you're not a mom, that's me. I'm her.
Yeah, you're definitely about to say, so you're a mogul as well.
I'm
Yeah.
a mogul, MOGUL, a
Yes.
mogul. That's
A
it, business
mogul. Yeah.
mogul. Okay,
Hmm.
that's who you
I love
are.
it. Thank you. I'm snapping on
That's
that one.
exactly who you are already. It's within you. I
Yes.
feel like that's what you do. That's why I had to. That's why it was coming to me, and I was like, I have to look. I know I'm like butchering this. I told my students the other day in finals. I said, "Oh, please do not hold it against my heart if I butcher your name. You all know how much I love you guys, and they do.
Right.
They know I love you. But I will. I'll
Yeah.
butcher something real fast. But that is it. That is it. Listen. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. So, to give my listeners some tips, something you talked about delegation, but what's entrepreneurship journey been like for you?
Hmm.
Like, what is important? What should they really know when it comes to entrepreneurship? Outside of delegation, what else do you think you want to offer to them?
Be honest to yourself. Be truthful to the process. So we're not all supposed to be at the same level by the time, maybe your co-partner or someone else has gotten to another level. That's not your journey. We all have our own journey. And I believe that it's important to enjoy that while also being truthful to yourself. So if you know you should be doing certain things and dedicating certain time some places, and you're doing this or not budgeting the way you need to, or not actually sitting down and creating a vision for your business or writing down your goals, those are things that you can be truthful about so that you can move past that and avoid some hurdles that happen just over insecurity. And the mind plays tricks on us. If we tell ourselves, oh, we're not going to get there, or it's taking us too long, or why is this, it's going to continue to be that. You have to speak into existence what it is that you say you want to do and do
Yeah.
it. And every day do that. Every day practice that. Create a positive ritual for yourself where you give yourself encouragement, and you pray and you meditate on the things that you believe you want to see come to fruition. And sometimes you do have to go through some things that make you question your position so that you can re-strategize. And I believe that's where people who have, small businesses especially, but even large corporations, they get in a very, negative position. And when, things start going downhill because they're questioning, and it's like, wait, let me just reflect, allow this process to happen for me and re-strategize. That's entrepreneurship.
Yep.
It's on your toes. Let's move to the next thing. Plan B, plan C. Um, who do I need to make relationships with? That's another one I would say is super important, is having the power to make positive and reflective relationships and communication skills. Those are things that it takes some people years to really understand when they have business, but honestly, it's really one of the most important things is communication skills, and being able to be someone who can understand also standing on business, but as well as, being harmonious in that space, because some things are not for us and we should be able to communicate that, identify those areas. We should also be able to advocate for ourselves when we don't have access to
Yep.
things. Don't wait, and talk to seven people who don't know nothing about what you got going on so that they can give you their words, versus going to the direct source and getting the resource that you need, and taking the time to invest in your education, rather it's within a school setting or self-taught. Pick up the books, pick up the novels that you're supposed to be reading to
Yes.
help motivate, encourage your journey, but also give you a different perspective. So your thinking is open. And when your thinking is open, there's just floodgates, it's open for everything to pour in. So also be conscious of what you're allowing to come in, negative
Yes.
thoughts, negative people's, responses or words back to you should not affect you as much as what is positive, and that what is going to empower you. So that's another one.
I love it. You said, a couple of things that made me think about even just yesterday at the Motivated Entrepreneur, which is a birth creation of yours that is now
Yes.
residing at California Capitol and the Women's Center.
Yeah, that
It
was one of my
was
babies.
That's one of your babies, and I was leading the way last night as a guest speaker, facilitator, and it was a
Hmm.
fun room. But it was the stinking thinking, and I had him take the paper. I told, I said, go get them some paper. Get everybody
Hmm.
a sheet of paper right now, one blank piece of paper. Just let's bring it out. Hold it like a hot dog. Okay,
Yeah.
on one side, I want you to write every limiting belief right now,
Hmm.
because words crystallize into form. I have a podcast all on that, power of words,
Hmm.
speaking, life, death, all of it is really real. I
Yeah.
was like, what you're thinking, it's in here. We got to get rid of it. Right. So
Yeah.
I had write down all the limiting beliefs, like, anything about your business life. It could be anything, but write it. Let's get it out. And they started writing, writing, writing. And then I said, okay, on the other side, I want you to put your I am statements. And I was like, you can start with, I am wealthy. My business is successful. I am, going to sell this many, whatever it is, write
Hmm.
it out, write it out, write it out, write it out.
Yeah.
Positive, positive. And then I was like, now rip them in half. And I had the trash can handed to me, and I took the trash can. I was like, now throw away all those limiting beliefs right now. I just walked around the room like this as they all dropped in their limiting beliefs. And I do that with my
Oh, that's
students. I
beautiful.
do that. I did that last night. I've done
Yeah.
that in workshops. And I tell people all the time, my listeners, listen, some homework. I've never failed to not give you homework, right? Listen, go and
Hmm.
do the split list like I just told you, right? Where's your
Yeah.
limiting beliefs? Put them on one side. Then on the other side, put your I am statements. Listen, if you're able to burn your limiting beliefs, burn it. That's the
Right.
higher power, is turning it into ash so that you can create that beauty that's standing before you on the other side of the paper,
Absolutely.
right? And put
Absolutely.
it up. That's your
Yeah.
homework, everybody. Go out there and do those, because we people do. And in entrepreneurship, it is not for the faint of heart. You will get your feelings
No.
hurt in this game.
Yes, you will. And it's not
Okay.
just about having the tough skin to take it in. It's about having a tough spirit. You know what I mean?
Yes. An
Like your
ability to get
skin,
back up. Because you
the
will not, you
ability.
will come down. You will get knocked.
Yes, yes, it will break your body down for a moment. There's been days where you're just like in the mindset of what am I doing? I'm just going to
Yeah.
sit here and just think about the possibilities of failure before I move to the thing that I know I need to be doing to keep things going. And that's the mental wear down of what a business can do to an entrepreneur, which is why you have to motivate yourself but also be encouraged by others. And we don't want to talk about that as much because it's like, oh well, that's a competitor, or if I give them
Oh,
their flowers, that means that I need to be focused on me. Focusing on you is to acknowledge those who have come before you and who can show you and who can
yeah.
educate you on that experience. And I think it was very helpful, my experience as an entrepreneur counseling, because I can actually speak from a point of view of someone who's gone through those challenges,
Yeah.
who've been through areas of not having the access or education or limitations. Someone told me when I first tried to apply for a business loan, like, oh, you got to have this, you got to have that. I'm like, what? I didn't know the language at all. You know what I mean? So I was instantly discouraged. He was, and that I never went back. I never went to, try. I just did the whole bootstrap situation. Like, and that was a different journey, but it was one that pushed me in that direction because I didn't have access to the resources or information on how to get a loan appropriately or when I would be ready. And even just readiness and being prepared for certain things align you to be a better owner,
Yes.
because it's about organizing and preparing yourself for what you're about to take on. That responsibility is micro, but it adds on every day to where it just becomes natural and it makes you a better owner.
Yeah. And you are very much like me, and what we experience, we're able to teach even stronger, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
why we go through all the things that we do, so that we can be a vessel to teach, right?
Yeah.
And to do so in a place of position of empowerment, and
Right.
really having not just say book knowledge of something because you read a book, because I love
Mm-hmm.
book knowledge as well, but
Yes.
experience beats book knowledge all the time, right? All the time. So
Yeah.
having the real experience, that's actually what wrote my books, was the
Mm-hmm.
experience is what wrote my books, and why they, I was reading my memories for Facebook, and just how relevant and real the books have been for people and continue to be,
Yeah.
as they use them and still use them even in programs I'm doing currently right now. And it's that experience, though. It's the
Mm-hmm.
experience. And then I use the experience to teach. And that's what you're doing. And you said one other thing, and I think it's important. And another podcast I have too, which is necessary endings. You mentioned a
Mhm.
lot of times, and that's that re-strategizing. Like, okay,
Yeah.
what's not working? Like something's not working. We need to just stop it. Some people need to
Hmm.
stop creating some products that are wasting time that aren't selling. Some people need to stop servicing certain things that don't work for them.
Yeah.
Necessary endings, and we talked about that last night too. I gave that to them a little bit. I was like, you need to really become comfortable with
Oh
endings.
yeah.
Endings are a
Oh
part of
yeah.
life. That's what it says. There's a time and season for all. That's Ecclesiastics. It tells us in there in the word, right?
Yeah.
Season, it's a part of our life. It's seasons, essentially. New,
Absolutely.
old, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I've had
and
to make some drastic endings. So I know that it's better to cut certain situations. I wouldn't just say sooner, but when you identify them, because sometimes you got to go through it. You got to let that
yeah,
relationship teach you something.
yep.
And
That
once
to-do
you've,
list. Whatever you need to
once you've
do, that
gotten
to-do
through it,
list.
then it's time to cut that cord.
Time to
And when
go.
you cut that cord, you have to understand and be okay with that next journey. Because sometimes we will go back, or maybe I should have. Yeah, there's a reason why your body felt the way it felt, your mind
Yes.
felt the way it felt,
Yes.
your spirit was not aligned with what you were doing, and so there's a whole purpose in that. So it's all about the learning experience, and teaching people that you it's honestly it's a relief, because how many individuals have never been told that before. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, there's a lot of people that are going through this journey that want to hear that and know that it's okay.
Yeah.
And I sometimes think there's a lot of discouragement out there for people. And we talk about trauma. There
Mm-hmm.
could also be their own trauma from
Yes.
their life, yeah, that could occur in
Absolutely.
the midst of them trying to start this new thing. Now they're back to the when they were 12 years old, and someone told them that they couldn't ride that bike and
Yep.
gave them all the reasons why. So now they don't know how to ride a bike. And here we are with business, same person, same
Yes.
child within that individual reflecting on this
Yes.
grand idea. So we have to handle ourselves in that manner too. Like, go get the assistance you need. Also take care of yourself
Yes.
so that you can be a better owner or a better entrepreneur, because some of us may take on a franchise and we just want to manage a business. That's a different scenario from entrepreneurship, but it's the same thing. It's honestly the same journey. It's going to cause things that come up and stir up in you that you've never thought you were going to have to deal with again. And
Yep.
now you are doing it, and you have your livelihood on the line, and this is how you make your living and feed your family. And it's not just for the faint of heart. It's for the people that want to make a difference doing what they believe in and fulfilling their life's purpose in their work.
A true
So
impact. And
yeah.
that's why I say the mogul is you all day. The true impact, the change, the politics, in the industry. Because
Hmm.
cannabis is fresh and new and there's lots of things going on there. And
Oh
it's going to
yeah.
continue to go through the nation. And my spiel on it. I always tell people invest, be ready. You better invest properly and invest right,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's going to have a lot different landscape, but there's lots of ample opportunity until that moment comes, until it goes
Yeah.
federal and then it's lifted to corporate, because ultimately that is what will happen with it.
Yeah.
The health and wellness side, though, and that's where you tend to stay and gravitate to
Hmm.
as a whole being, as who you are, and
Yeah.
this wellness journey, like you said, even honoring an entrepreneur, listening to their body and listening to giving it its honor when it's feeling things aren't right. And and even the trauma part, which, I'm super big on and teach
Hmm.
and a big advocate for people to understand, because it's all rooted, like you said, somebody
Yeah.
told you at 12 you couldn't ride that bike. So now you feel like you can't bring that vision. You don't realize when it will sting you. And so
Yeah.
getting mental health that you need is so important, because we're living walking testaments, because being a teen mom is a traumatic experience in itself,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so you're listening to, rather, to women who are living walking testaments of the power of overcoming, despite, right,
Yeah.
cards you're dealt with in this life. It's up to you to play it in
Hmm.
such a fashion that you win no matter what hand you play. So
Absolutely.
I am so excited for you. I see wonderful things as always. It's really been such a pleasure having you on the show. Everyone, her bio and her information are going to be found in the transcript. Your other homework is to connect with her, reach out. She's
Yes.
available if you are
Yes.
looking for coaching, consulting, if you need any information in the natural hair care industry, business, small business initiatives, cannabis, anything. Like I said, she is the one. So please make sure you connect with her. That's your homework. Go check her out. Get your to-do list together as well from last time. In those relationships you don't need to be in, go veg out
Mhm.
on the podcast. They're so short, many of them in nature, and you can veg out and get that energy. This is the close of my season. I'm so grateful that I got to do it. Oh, I get emotional. They already know.
Oh, I love you.
I love you
Thank
so much.
you.
I'm so grateful that I got to bring this season to an end with you as we both begin to embark on some new journeys in our life and your business expanding and scaling and growing, and my family and I growing and transitioning into San Diego to make an even
Yeah.
deeper impact.
You will be surely missed here. You are
Oh,
not only just a star in what you do, but you help us identify our star within us. You
mm.
know, you were like the mother of entrepreneurship here in Sacramento,
Oh,
and
that
you
is
have to know
so.
that.
That
Yeah.
is, I truly feel very honored. I am like,
Hmm.
okay, Sacramento, your kindergarten entrepreneurship teacher's out. Because that's what I feel like. I feel like, and
Hmm.
I think there's something important about you getting a base understanding. Many times you
Yeah.
want to go, well, go over here and let's go look at this. And it's higher than where you didn't even get, like you said, I didn't know the terminology. I
Hmm.
love teaching general business. And I told them, I was like, it's a lot of terminology, but if
Yeah.
you can get that language, your lexicon, that's your
Yes.
vocabulary, and deepen
Yes.
in and have an understanding. I promise you, we can build from that foundation. But if you don't even
Absolutely.
have that, right?
Hmm.
So, that's what a mommy does. She begins to help you build your foundation and trust in the foundation you
Yes.
do. It's been an honor
Yes.
having been a product of the region and have served faithfully the region. I'm on my way tonight to go serve the Auburn Indian community, which is always such an incredible honor. And I'm closing up a workshop with them, and I got a couple more things to do. And packing and purging, and I'm excited, but I'm so incredibly proud of you. I have since the beginning. I mean, you
Thank
showed
you.
up and you were present. You paid attention. You were eager to learn. You were hungry to learn. You knew, I had something to offer you, and you continue to just shine by again the seed. And I am so excited. I really see you doing a lot, especially when it comes to the hair care and leading and teaching and facilitating. Those are programs I see that could go nationwide for you with
Yeah.
books and, and really teaching people, and that becoming something that you just step back and watch happen, because once you create it, you put it out there, they're going to run with it along with everything else. But most importantly, I have seen you being an incredible mother, and that
Oh, thank
is
you.
the truest honor we have, is seed and taking good care of our seed. So I'm excited for you. I'm so grateful you've been my guest. Everyone, you know how much I love you. You know your homework. You got your list to go do your limiting beliefs and get rid of them and put your I am statements up. You're going to check my beautiful star out. Again, all her information is listed below. We are taking a season break, but Professor P will be back in the fall for a new season, coming with more fire, more elixir, more tips, more guest speakers. Until then, everyone, be well and thank you. Thanks, everyone, for listening today. I hope you received a lot out of that episode and are feeling energized and ready for whatever lies ahead. If you did enjoy it, I'd appreciate it if you'd share it out. Thank you in advance for doing so. Please also connect with me on social media: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Natasha M. Palumbo. And until next time, be encouraged, be empowered, and as always, be well.